Sports reports, no gimmicks, no clowns. 2-5, Mr. Logical, we run this town. Real talk only, no chasing, no doubt. From the east to the west, it's the order we shout. Mic check, lights flash, game time, stay ready. 2 vets in the zone, keep the pressure real heavy. Big hits, big plays, yeah, we breaking it down. Truth rings in your speakers, every word is the crown. From the north side hustle to that southern flame. Midwest grind, west coast of the game. Sports talk kings, yeah, we wear that crown. Turn it up, let them know it's about to go down. Sports reports, no gimmicks, no clowns. 2-5, Mr. Logical, we run this town. Real talk only, no chaser, no doubt. From the east to the west, it's the order we shout.
It's about to go down.
Yes, you are now listening to the sounds of Sports Reports is Ordered. And according to some people on TikTok, I am your co-host, Steve Urkel. You know what I'm saying? I got my guy, Mr. Logical, with me representing Jers.
Hi, haters.
You know what I'm saying? How y'all doing? You know, it's Thursday night, you know, airing on Friday. Got some NFL picks, got some college football picks. We're going to jump right into it. So like, review, subscribe, share, rate, do all the free things. Do all the good things, preferably with a liquid death in hand. And let's do it. So, Mr. Logical.
Ooh, yeah. Dead billionaires. Holla.
Dead
billionaires. We need more of them. Not me. Let's get this money back to the people. Dead billionaires.
So.
Let's go.
I mean, I don't know what to say about that, but
I'm just promoting the drink, dog. There's no underlining statement. I'm just saying dead billionaires. We need more of these. You know what I mean?
All right. So once upon a time, not long ago, Steve Urkel sat on these airwaves and said that the Green Bay Packers are so close to the Super Bowl. You know, they played Philly last year in the first round. There was a fumble on the opening kickoff that I feel changed the whole trajectory of the game. Mr. Logical, coming off a loss against the Carolina Panthers at Lambeau Field. You know, Green Bay welcome him in Philadelphia. Do the Packers get revenge on Monday night?
Nah. I think Philly's been, when you're a successful team, you need stuff. You need things to go against you so you can kind of stay motivated during the week. We talk about it like during a blowout in an NFL game, college game, high school game, whatever. You need something to go sideways so your coach has something on film that he or she, whatever your level is, can harp on and get you ready for the next week. I think all the tush-push rhetoric over the last few weeks and then the past couple of weeks, everybody's been running it. No one's complained when Josh Allen's done it. I think a few other teams have done some kind of variation of tush-push, and everyone's loving it. So I think that narrative is out there. So now when Philly comes out, it's like, all right, now let's go ahead and crush some souls. They made a couple of moves at the trade deadline. Jair Alexander looks odd in 18. It looks a little weird, him wearing 18. Like he doesn't look comfortable in it. Like I seen a couple still.
It seems like a quarterback wearing 47, right?
Yeah, but that's what BYU does. Yeah, so it's just like it's very like just like a strange like dynamic. But like I said, I think Philly beats Green Bay. I'm not sure if Jordan Love gets up for certain teams. Like we know certain teams and certain players, like a guy when he plays his former team, if he's a fiery guy like Baker, he's going to be up for that game. If Tampa Bay was playing Cleveland this weekend, Baker's going to play at a certain level because of the dynamic of the game. Buffalo, when they play Kansas City, is a level up. Cincinnati, Baltimore is always throw out the records, recently, or pretty much anyone in the AFC North. I don't know what inspires Jordan Love's great performances.
Well, I think what inspires his performances is, like you said, looking across the field and seeing the guy that was offended that he got drafted because he went up to the field formerly known as Hines and put up 360 in that game.
So if that's it, then but like I said, that's all I can really rest my head on as far as like, I don't know. I don't know. I just don't know about him. I think he's a good quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's smart. I think he's level-headed. I just don't know. When I see J.J. McCarthy play, I know he's deliberately out there to show his team, I'm out here to win. Like, I'm out here to ball. And I think that respect is kind of reciprocated. I don't really see that with Jordan Love.
So, I like numbers and stuff. So, let me rattle off a few things real quick.
All
Nick
right.
Sirianni, 4-0 off the bye week. Since 2023, the Eagles, 7-0 in November. Green Bay has not lost back-to-back games at Lambeau Field since 2018, which was the year before LaFleur became the head coach. So
shout out Mike McCarthy getting his massages.
So something's got to give here. So as far as the Jordan Love point goes, you brought up Jair Alexander. He's still getting acclimated. Who knows how healthy he is at a given moment. So at the very least, because you figure I'm going to throw to Quinyon Mitchell's side as least as possible. You know what I'm saying? So where else am I going to go with the football? I still think that there's holes in Philly's defense. The problem for Jordan Love is going to be, are you going to have the time to exploit those holes? That's the problem. Saquon Barkley tends to play well against the Packers. And oh, by the way, right before the bye week, first 100-yard game of the season. Oh, by the way, A.J. Brown's coming back this week. And the Packers are in that same position. Like, Keyshawn Nixon isn't Quinyon Mitchell, but he's the only corner on the Packers that really makes you think twice, So Philly's got that going for him. I think that Philly will be able to have a balanced attack against Green Bay, and that's where they're going to hurt Green Bay. So I'm going to just say it like this. Philadelphia is going to win, but I'm dying on my sword. I'll just say that the Packers are going to win because, that's how I'm rolling. But Philly.
Sometimes it's heart over head over heart. Just whatever your mood is, just run with it.
There you go. And I know y'all seem to think we're going backwards, but we're really not. But Sunday night is time to make a statement. The Steelers are coming in after the destruction of the Colts, whereas the Chargers coming in, they're leaky, injuries among them. So, Mr. Logical, out in LA, where the Chargers do not have a home field advantage.
Never. They never do.
The Steelers keep the momentum going.
I don't know. I've never really been up on the Chargers this entire Justin Herbert regime. I haven't really picked them a lot. I mean, I've been wrong. They won a lot of games. I'm gonna go at it again. I mean, I'm gonna ride with the boy from Bad News. Shout out to Mike Tomlin. I think the Steelers. I think the Steelers pick them off again. I think the injuries are adding up for LA, and it's only so long you can just keep putting Band-Aids on it because he's a major. You thought I was gonna say so long, fake dogs can pretend like, nah, I'm not gonna do that. It's like you have injuries on your offensive line. Your two stud offensive linemen are out. At the beginning of the year, when Rashawn Slater went out and everyone was like, oh, there goes their chances. I'm like, your chances shouldn't fall off that tremendously because you lose one offensive lineman.
Mm-hmm.
I get it, but you lose them early, like preseason, before the actual season starts. You get an opportunity to move a guy in. Like I thought they could move Joe Alt from right tackle to left tackle in that event because, you still have a right-handed quarterback, but they worked another guy in. They got Mekhi Becton inside. But then when you lose both bookends, he goes out and then he comes back. You lose him again. I think that's kind of messing with the continuity. And I just have a feeling that Pittsburgh is going to take advantage of that. With TJ Watt lined up across here, backup right tackle, which is where he's one of the one of the rare defensive ends that plays on the front side of the quarterback. Most guys want to come from the blind side, get strip sacks. I think him playing on that side really puts a lot more stress on the quarterback. And with the, without your stud 6'8" right tackle in there, I think they're going to feast. And then, Ramsey's going to be all over the place, playing like a rover in a corner and a safety and a linebacker in the box sometimes and blitzing off the edge. Yeah, I just think they're going to carry the momentum from last week to this week.
I got concerns about the Steelers, which is an odd thing to say considering that they beat the Colts last week, right? But as I look at the Steelers' season as a whole, they started off the season, they gave up 32 points to the Jets. Then Seattle came in and smacked them around. They needed 5 turnovers to beat New England. They beat Carson Wentz overseas. They beat Dylan Gabriel in one of his first starts. They lose to Joe Flacco, and then made Jamar Chase look like Antonio Brown on steroids. Then they lose and Jordan Love puts up the 360 on them. And yeah, they came back and beat the Colts last week. But how did they beat the Colts last week? Yes, it came down to pressure, right? But what concerns me is just like the game against New England, they forced 5 turnovers and won that game by a touchdown. The Patriots had a chance to score the tying touchdown, with a minute left or so. Last week, they won by 7 points. They forced 6 turnovers last week, and they still won by a touchdown.
Yeah, so offensively, they're not key. That's why I only mentioned the defensive side of the ball,
right? And that's why I'm taking the
injuries on the Chargers side. I think Justin Herbert's going to throw them 2.
And that's why I'm taking the Chargers, because I think Aaron Rodgers might throw 2. And not only that,
it depends on when if Pittsburgh gets there too early. Pittsburgh get the ball, they get a field goal or a touchdown in the first couple of drives, and then Herbert gives them one at the 40. And then, they just move it a little bit, get a 10-0 lead. If you get Aaron Rodgers the lead, you're squared away. He rarely throws away games.
No. Remember, we always talk about that stat. Don't do that.
He needs a lead.
Do that.
No. He needs the lead. If you're down 10-0, yeah, if you get Aaron Rodgers the lead, you're good to go. He's not going to make the Jackson Dart mistake that Jackson made in Denver when they were up 2 possessions. He's probably going to take that sack and punt the ball.
So
but if you're down 10 going to the 4th, that's a different Aaron Rodgers. But I think that Justin Herbert, because it's going to fall on him because of the deficiencies they have with the injuries, he's going to have to make an extra play or hold it on too long.
But I don't think that he does, because Kamani Vidal has come on the last 2 games. And on top of that, to your point, I do trust the Steelers to get the pressure, to make the big impact play, if you will. But I trust the Chargers to make the regular routine play. You know what I mean? The Steelers feed off of those plays. They need those plays to prosper.
But if you don't give it to them, they've been able to just create them. What was it, a game? I don't know if it was last year or 2 years ago. I believe it was an in-division game. They caused 4 or 5 turnovers against.
It was the Baltimore game.
Yeah, 4 or 5 turnovers.
They won 18-16. Mm-hmm.
Then I think they did another one against Cleveland where they forced 4 turnovers and one. It's just once that defensive train gets to rolling.
Turnovers are it's like a variance thing, right? Because we were talking about the Colts last week going into that game. They had only had 4 turnovers all season going into that game against Pittsburgh. And then they had 6 in that one game. So it was one of those things where did the karma just catch up? Like, you had all this good fortune and then it just fell apart one time. So, you know what I mean? All it takes is for a coach like Jim Harbaugh, who we know can be very conservative, close to the vest. You would even say calm, cool, and collected.
Correct.
So I think this is going to be a low-scoring game, and the Chargers win.
But that's the thing with those kind of coaches. Okay, I'll use my son's high school game as an example. The team they played last week was 8-1. Playoff game, they were 8-1. but the way they moved the ball wasn't through chunk plays, wasn't through the air. It was handed off to the running back who was averaging like 6 or 7 yards a carry on the season. The backup running back was averaging 6 or 7 because they either are handing the ball off to him with 2 tight ends in the game, or they're going wildcat, take the quarterback out of the game, wildcat, 3 tight ends. So like they just were just beating teams up down the field. You run it behind the muscle. So when our team went up 2 possessions and now they're in 3 and 4 wide, it was ineffective. Balls are getting tipped. The guy threw 2 interceptions. He only threw 7 all year. He threw 2 in the fourth quarter because you had to come out of that shell because it didn't work early. Like I said, for Pittsburgh, you just create some points. Get that. Like, I don't have a lot of faith in Arthur Smith, but I'm like, he'll get you 10 to 14 points. He'll get that off.
What you're saying makes sense if Pittsburgh is able to run the ball, but I don't know that they will be able to.
I don't know if that. We talked about that Chargers defense and that the cover 2. If you run it right up the gut, they got to come out of that. They got to bring a guy into the box, and that's when you'll get your DK 1-on-1. That's where he thrives. I don't see him making a lot of contested catches. He thrives in that situation where he ends up 1-on-1 and he can just box you out with a 6'3" frame.
All right, well, I got my eye on Rondé Gatson in this game. You know, he's suddenly become Justin Herbert's favorite target. So we'll see. Like, I mean, long story short, whoever can run the ball is probably going to be the team that wins this game. Yeah. So then, of course, over in Raymond James Stadium, Mr. Logical, we got the Brady Bowl. You know, the Patriots coming down to play the Buccaneers. Buccaneers off the bye. Patriots have won 6 straight. Is it going to be lucky 7?
Yo, you know what would be wild, Petty? If the Buccaneers had did a tribute to Tom Brady at the beginning of the game. That would be just wild, Petty. Not retired a number, but like a thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Yeah.
Thank you, Tom. Something for Tom Brady. I think it would have been perfect. Especially if they just didn't announce it, if they just did it. And it's like it just catches Vrabel off guard and like
give all the fans TB12 t-shirts.
Oh yeah, TB12 t-shirts. Yo, I think they still got enough time to pull that off. If they can go TB12 t-shirts on all the seats or like the lower bowl seats or something, or just the New England side,
yeah,
that would be dope.
I might have to look into some marketing. We'll see.
Yeah, I like New England here. I feel like Tampa Bay, the record is good, but a lot of those wins were very slow starts and the combustible endings where Baker just put on a cape and made a lot of plays happen. Mm-hmm. I see New England being more consistent. I think they're building something. I think their coach, quarterback, offense, defense, I think they're all starting to believe in the other person. And I think collectively they're just, they're battling. Granted, I mean, Atlanta almost pulled off the comeback win last week, but I'm just liking what the Patriots are doing. I like when the young quarterbacks are start, taking the helmet and running with it. I like the old school coaching of Vrabel. I didn't think they were going to have the skill position. I guess it's Keyshawn Butte is like they're clicking.
Well, we got to see if he's going to play, so that's first and foremost, second of all, and I promise I did not do this on purpose because I didn't make it up. Todd Bowles is 2-5 coming off the bye, and then, but I think what's going to doom the Patriots in this game is the pass rush. I don't know that the Patriots in recent games besides Cleveland, who couldn't score, if they faced the pass rushes that, they're going to run into against Tampa Bay. With the bye week, you get a couple of people healthy. I think this game, I try to find like the matchup that I think is going to impact the game. And I think the game is going to come down to, can Carlton Davis slow down Emeka Egbuka? I think that's going to tell the tale of the game. Baker, we know that if it's close late, that's Baker
You can bet
time.
on Baker. Yeah.
Yeah, just like Reggie Miller, Miller time, right? It's just like that. So I'm going to go with, that's what you saw, that trick play, huh? So
yeah, was it a trick play? Did they run like a trick play on 3rd and 1?
It looked like they were running a reverse and then he was going to throw it. It was weird. I caught it at the last second when I lifted my head up.
So I lift my head up and I see Cortland Sutton with the ball like he was about to throw it. I'm like, it was 3rd and 1.
But Pop Douglas has come on the last couple of weeks for the Patriots as well, but I think Kayshawn is Drake May's guy. Like, every quarterback has that guy
He's
that
down
they
there
trust.
somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah. And if he doesn't play, I think that just opens up the door for Tampa. But I'm gonna go with Tampa either way, coming off the bye, and bring the Patriots down to earth just a little bit.
2-5 off the bye is diabolical.
It is. I didn't make that up. I promise. So, Mr. Logical, it is week 10. The football season goes way too fast. But what we got is a rematch from a couple of weeks ago. Thursday night football, chance to win the game, punch the football out, which isn't legal anymore, apparently. And, both of these quarterbacks, Matthew Stafford and Mac Jones, if he plays, combined 731 passing yards in that game. Which offensive genius pulls it out?
I like the Rams because they could put that film on and say, if we didn't make these 3 mistakes, we win this game going away.
Okay.
If Mac Jones is starting, Mac has been doing a good job. He's been doing an adequate job for the 49ers. But that particular game, I don't know if he had injuries that were just kind of lingering or they were getting progressively worse that game. Yeah, because he was getting beat up. He might have come in with something, but I think that game, he was getting beat up. We talked about it like, hey, if they would have just kicked that field goal, Mac, because like I said, Mac didn't even get off the bench to celebrate when the 4th down, he was hurting. So if they put the film on and say, listen, we hold on to the ball here, here, and here. Devontae, Matt, you get on the same page here. We convert these 3rd downs. We beat this team. They would probably win that game, man, I'm going to say like 28-13 because those passes to Devontae Adams were like 3rd down. The fumbles were huge. Obviously, the fumble at the goal line that got punched out by Kim. So that was his 2nd fumble of the game. That was in, a tough spot. So that's why I say I like the 49ers, like what they're doing. I saw something that someone said that Kyle Shanahan is their coach of the year so far because he's like the way he's putting together this team, this Frankenstein style with
I don't
the
even
injuries.
got a problem with that, to be honest with you. I mean, obviously, me, I would throw Mike Vrabel in the conversation, but I don't have a problem with Shanahan being in that conversation at all. But I think this game, I think Stafford's going to continue what he did last time they played, because if the 49ers can be had, it's that secondary. And, they lost Michael Williams last week, the young rookie. So that's one less guy that Stafford has to worry about coming at him. And, the 49ers, sadly enough, like I always talk about, they're the picture of resilience. But I feel like every week we're playing this game of who's going to be the next 49er to fall. So Brock Purdy is limited in practice. Ricky Pearsall still not practicing. So I just feel like it's one of those things, right? Like, I don't want to be that guy, but
you seeing what just happened?
I don't want to be that guy, but it has to catch up eventually. You know what I mean? Like all the injuries, like
especially against playing a division opponent for the 2nd time,
and one that you beat.
One that you beat, and they're more injury, and you're more injury riddled than you were the last time you played them. Like you can't overcome Fred Warner not being there against a team that knows you well with Fred Warner. You can beat Atlanta, you can beat Houston, Well, I mean, honestly, you
Well,
could beat. They didn't be used, but you could beat. You could be like a Denver. You could beat a team that doesn't see Fred Warner twice a year, every year when he's there. But when he's not there and the team knows how different you look without him, McVay's going to exploit that.
I don't know how you always do that because Jags Texans was the next game that I was going to bring up. I don't know. like somehow you just always bring up one of the teams.
Man. That's what I do.
Yeah. So the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm going to just ask you a yes or no question and then we can move on. Can the Texans win with Davis Mills at quarterback?
No.
I agree. Let's go to Seattle. So Seattle and Arizona. Kyler Murray is now officially on IR. So he's going to be gone for another few weeks. Arizona bringing momentum in from Monday Night Football. Crazy enough, the Monday Night Football game is the only double-digit score game that the Cardinals have played this year. All the rest, there's 7 other games, all one-score games. Can Arizona go up to the upper Pacific Northwest and walk out with a win?
They have the defense that seems to be swarming the way you expect. But Jacoby Brissett isn't going to air it out. And I don't think you're going to get cornerbacks falling over on slant routes like too often against Seattle. Like just keep it a buck. I don't know how DeRon Bland fell down. Like, it's 2 routes that guy's running from there.
They ain't been doing
He's running a slant. He's running a slant, or he's running a fade. Like, realistically, in that space with that size of a wide receiver, I'm not calling any other play. Like, if I'm lined up over there, what do you call, like a screen pass? No. He's running a slant, or he's running a fade. So cut him off inside, and if he runs a fade, sprint out to his body, because like it's all they're running. How you falling for this and then fall down? It's like all this, like he's only running 2 routes. If you pick the slant early, then you can just jump the fade too. Like I don't know how it's like why he's thinking all this other stuff, but yeah, he's not gonna have a bunch of open guys because his cornerbacks are falling down for Seattle.
So I
see this being a more tougher game, and we saw what Sam Darnold did last week. He was like 17 for his first 18 or something, right?
Yeah. Like I think his first incompletion was in the 3rd quarter, but so I was going to say something similar to how you started, but just slightly differently. So I think they need Kyler Murray's playmaking in this game. You know what I mean? Like I do think that not even necessarily about the airing it out part, but they just need somebody that can handle when it breaks down, or if there's a missed assignment, like if there's a linebacker that has his head turned in.
They need one of the defenders to have to be a spy just to create a little bit more space for the wide receivers around it.
And I think that the game plan is going to be conservative enough that you're playing right into Seattle's hands. Like you're not attacking. They can just sit back in a zone probably and just keep everything in front of them.
Everything lay out in front of them.
Yeah. And Jacoby's going to take the smart play, to check down, the guy that is slightly covered versus he's covered. He's not
tight end option route for 6 yards. He'll take that. Even if it's 3rd and 10. It's I'm going to take this quick one, get it out of my hands, let these guys make plays. And if guys are just sitting in zone waiting for that route, it's going to collapse on it. You're going to be punting a lot.
Yes, I'm taking Seattle by double digits. Then we got the Giants and the Bears. Odd game, right? Because you got the 2nd leading rushing team in the league, the Bears, going up against the team with the 2nd worst run defense, which is the Giants.
And their defense shouldn't be bad.
I
should
know.
not be this bad.
That's why I talk about firing Bowen. I don't know. Like, Brian Daboll is going to be loyal to a fault, and that's going to cost him he was going to lose his job anyway, but
yeah,
you know what I mean?
His job's pretty much done.
But yeah,
you can't bring him back next year.
The Giants in their last 2 games have given up at least 33 points. So the question is, can they score 34? The answer is no. Give me the Bears.
Yeah, take the Bears.
The Bears. Let's go to Germany. You know what I'm saying? Your old stomping grounds. You got
many nights and Good old Deutschland.
Yeah, you got the Atlanta Falcons going up against the Indianapolis Colts. And all I've been hearing through the grapevine is how great the Falcons defense has been this year. You know, how they can slow Indianapolis down. Do you think they can slow Indianapolis down?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
I don't think that at all. I have very little faith in my team because what you need to win is you need certain level of competence that transforms into performance. And then you have to have a level of unpredictability in order to create certain types of matchups. Atlanta has none of that. It's like they're gonna line up. If they have James Pierce and Jalen Walker in the game, one of them is rushing the passer, the other one's setting the edge. Standard. The two inside guys, who are basically big defensive ends, not defensive tackles, are not run stoppers. And then a couple of linebackers can't cover in space. So that's just the defense. Then you go to the offense. The offense doesn't throw from under center. They don't do play action. They don't roll out their left-handed quarterback and get them an easy pass on the edge. They don't target their big receiving targets, Kyle Pitts, Drake London, early, and often they don't. They run from the shotgun. I saw the stat, and the stat was from week 3, but I've been watching every week. Essentially, it's probably pretty close. After week 3, Atlanta passed 93% of the time out of shotgun. So basically, if you see him in shotgun, not pistol, shotgun, it's a pass. How you know it's a pass? Drake London's going to go in motion. He's going to run it out. It's so predictable that it's not even fun to watch. The Colts are going to eat that alive. Sauce Gardner's going to look like the all-pro that he was his first and second year this Sunday in Berlin.
Well, see, so I think the Falcons can keep this game close. Like, for all intents and purposes, I think the Colts are going to win. But first of all, wouldn't this be so Falcon for the Falcons to win this game? But but I'm gonna go with the Colts in this game. So my question is, the Colts can sit in man. Penix seems to struggle a little bit. And not only that, but Atlanta's got some lineman issues, some injuries. Both tackles might not play. So that's an issue within itself.
They're no good anyway.
But but that's the thing. The Colts are one of the Colts' weaknesses that they don't have, that I thought they would have addressed at the trade deadline, is that they don't generate a pass rush. So this isn't going to be happy. I don't think Penix is going to have the happy feet. Like when he played San Francisco, he couldn't wait to get rid of that ball. You know what I mean? He's not going to have to worry about that this weekend. And if Sauce Gardner has Drake London wrapped up, who's doing something on the other side?
That's the thing. They don't have anyone doing anything on the other side. That's why he throws the ball so quick. That's why the first.
I was talking about the Colts, like on the other side of the defense. I don't think you have to.
They don't have to worry about it. They don't have to worry about it. He doesn't. The Atlanta play designs are like this. Drake London's here. Kyle Pitts is over here. Another wide receiver's over here. Bijan is probably over here somewhere. The routes are this. Someone's going up in here. Someone's going up out here. And someone's going here. Nothing's happening in the middle of the field. Bijan's in the flat. So as a defense, you can ignore the entire middle of the field. Penix in man-to-man coverage, he doesn't take off and slide and get 8 yards and then live to see the next play. It's 3rd and 7. The routes are this, Bijan in the flat.
This might be the first time I got to say this football season. Sound like coaching to me.
Oh, it's 100% coaching. Oh, I've been saying it for years. Raheem Morris is probably a great man. He is not a good coach. They don't manage properly. They don't do anything well from a coaching position. The Rich McKay, the guy who keeps failing up, he used to be the general manager, but yet he keeps failing up the ladder in Atlanta. And then Arthur Blank only listens to him implicitly. Terry Fontenot, I don't know if he has power to make decisions, but they gave a quarterback $100 million. Then they drafted a guy that came off 2 ACL surgeries. Neither one of them can play. And then you have an offensive coordinator that's more predictable than Mike Tyson Punch-Out. Like, it's ridiculous. So yeah, it's nothing they can do. They're going to lose this game by a lot. Miami scored 34 points.
So about 2 weeks ago, we had a very uncool, calm, and collected argument about the Baltimore Ravens. The Baltimore Ravens came off their bye, and since the bye, they're only giving up 11 points a game. We circled this game as one of the pivotal games if they're going to turn this season around and potentially fight for the division. Can the Vikings stop the Ravens in their tracks?
Yes.
Tell me more.
It's like what Minnesota does. I like how they control the clock. I like their wide receiver core. I like the moxie of their young quarterback. And I don't think Baltimore does enough to confuse the young quarterback. And I think Kevin O'Connell can scheme open Hockenson or Justin Jefferson, or, hey, Justin's down there somewhere. McCarthy just lets it go. Baltimore is going to be out of position a couple of times. Marlon Humphrey, if he's playing this week, be all right. He will miss a few plays with an injury because he seems to throw his body around, and he ends up coming off the field for a possession. Yeah, like I said, I love what they do in Baltimore. I just think that they're playing with fire, with hoping you can go on this kind of run when your defense plays the way they do. I think Kevin O'Connell, a real offensive head coach. You saw what he done with Kirk Cousins. See what he did with Sam Darnold. I think he's going to scheme open a lot of easy throws for McCarthy. They're going to turn into big plays for Minnesota. And they're at home.
So I do think that they will give up a big play or two in the passing game. I do agree there. I think that Baltimore on offense is going to control the line of scrimmage, and Derrick Henry is going to have a good time on Sunday. So Brian Flores, right? Immaculate job he did against Jared Goff last week. Immaculate. So that's my matchup. Brian Flores, what are you going to do? And the good news is Lamar is still kind of laboring a little bit.
He's not going to run too much.
Yeah, he's not going to run too much. So you might be able to hold him because look, we've been talking about this for a couple of years now. Baltimore still doesn't have the requisite wide receivers to put pressure on a defense. Hopkins is probably still their best receiver, you know what I mean, at his old age. You know what I mean? Zay Flowers gets loose every so often, but it's going to be hard to find Zay Flowers if you're running.
And they don't. And Zay Flowers, they run him out there like a number one guy, and they give him number one routes instead of like running him out there the way Buffalo uses Shakir against Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
Get him open, get him in space, get him on a nickel corner, get him on a linebacker in certain formations, and then watch the wiggle. They just line him up across from the number one corner and say, hey, go beat him. And it's like, man, just get the ball to him in space. He's dynamic in space. Like I said, I think I think their play calling gets sketchy when they play against a good defense. Their play calling gets stagnant. And like I said, every time you take Derrick Henry out and you put Hill in, we know it's not a run.
And I think Ricard is going to have a big impact on this game because, of course, he missed the first 6 games of the year. He's back now. So I think having him back is going to be a bonus. I'm gonna go ahead and pick Baltimore, to win this game and keep the train going. Keep it going. So Here's the thing, Mr. Logical. Here's the thing. There's two things that the Miami Dolphins do. They lose to the Bills, and they lose closely to the Bills. They draw you in just a little bit to make you think that they're going to do it. Josh Allen does one thing. He beats the Dolphins. I ain't got nothing else.
That's it.
I ain't got nothing else. So 2-5s, game of the week. What you think it is? What you think it is? What you think it is?
I mean, Browns Jets.
Yes, the Browns and the Jets is the 2-5 game of the week. I am going to watch every single minute of this game because there's going to be all kinds of follies and bloopers and everything. Like, I don't even know if NFL
it's gonna be like that circus music. Like
that
sped up circus music.
I don't even know if NFL Films is still a thing, but in like 15 years, this game is going to be on NFL Films. If it's not a thing and they decide to bring it back, this game is going to be the reason why they say we need NFL Films. So,
in the NFL, this is going to turn out to be the game of the week.
Because it's crazy because, the Jets, the last time we saw them, they went out and put 39 points up and beat Cincinnati. And there's still like reports going around this week, like who's the starter? You know what I mean? And then, of course, as Mr. Logical would have you know, Dylan Gabriel doesn't throw the ball more than 3 yards.
Doesn't.
But now there's no Sauce Gardner. So, so you could pick on Brandon Stevens a little bit more. My guy from Florida State, Azariah Thomas about to get some burning up in here and, announce himself to the NFL this weekend, but when I look at this game, I have to pick the Browns because the Jets gave up Quinnen Williams. So, the middle is, going to be a little bit more open.
You got to do what?
I got to pick the Browns.
Man, I'm picking the Jets.
You ain't picking the Jets. You don't believe in the Jetropolitan.
Absolutely. This is what I believe.
Cut it out.
I believe that they kept Breece Hall. They kept Breece Hall. So at a minimum, they have their running backs. They still got Justin Fields, another runner. I don't think the defense is the reason Dylan Gabriel plays the way he plays. I don't think the defense dictates to where he throws the ball. I think offensively in their strategy based off what he can do physically is the way they play. He threw 52 passes one game. So it's not like they're afraid for him to throw the ball. So the reason he only throws the ball short is because that's all he can do. So the defense is irrelevant. I think the Jets are going to put up like 28 points. I think Myles Garrett is going to be like, I'm done with this shit. And he's going to have some tightness in his back at halftime and not come back out in the third quarter.
Speaking of Myles Garrett, right? 10 sacks on the season already. The Jets have given up 31 sacks. Sounds like a match made in heaven to me.
If the Jets get the ball first, yeah, you could book Garrett for a sack and a half on the first drive. If the Jets get like a first down and they get like 6 to 8 plays out of that first drive, he'll probably get a third down sack on 3rd and 2, where the Jets are going to call a pass from shotgun instead of calling a run play, and Justin Fields is going to take a sack. It's going to be 3rd and 7. They're going to 4th and 7. They're going to punt it away. But Dylan Gabriel will not do anything for your offense that's going to stress the defense. Where meanwhile, the Jets, I think, will be able to make a play.
But are the Jets going to be able to slow down the run enough?
Slow down? Yes, because I'm going to have 8 dudes in the box because the quarterback will not throw it past 15 yards. If I'm the Jets defensive coordinator, I would literally line up single high safety with 10 guys in near the line of scrimmage.
You gonna get your cowboy on and play the 5-2? And then what you said the other day, you play that 5-2.
Because let's keep it real. Like, is there a pass on film from? I think he started with 4 games. Dylan Gabriel's on starts 15. Is there a pass on film of 15 yards in the middle of the field that he's completed? Keep in mind, he threw 52 passes one game. There should be one pass of 15 yards or more in the middle of the field. There isn't one.
Well, the funny thing about that is all I would have to do is try to pull up Isaiah Bond highlights to find out.
He throws it to him. He throws it out, but I don't think there's a post completion. I don't think there was a deep dig route where it's like a layered pass. I don't think that's even occurred in 16 quarters of football.
All right.
Yeah, I got the Jets all the way. It shocks me that you pick Cleveland. I'm thrilled. Unless you think it's just going to be a strip sack and the score is going to end up 7-3. But
hey, it wouldn't surprise me. Like I'm like, for me, this game, nothing would surprise me. It could be 13-10. It could be 33-30. Nothing about this game surprises me.
13-10. It's likely. I just feel like I don't think Justin Fields is like. I think physically as a quarterback, I think he physically does the things well. I think he throws the ball well. I think he stands in the pocket well. I think he has good pocket presence. I think he can scramble. I think he does the thing physically well as a quarterback. If he just decides to say, you know what, on this 3rd and 1 that you call from shotgun, I'm just going to run it out of bounds 3 or 4 yards, just got out of bounds to keep this drive going. And then if my first read is the go ball later in that drive, I'll just throw the go ball. The problem is when they kind of clamp it down and he wants to make the big play and he holds onto the ball and takes a sack. But if you can keep him going, use his legs, get the first down, I just feel like he's more likely to make the big throw. He doesn't have any interceptions. He hasn't thrown a pick all year.
All right, we'll see. So the Saints come marching in to what you call it, Mercedes North, Carolina, Tyler Shuck, second start.
That better not be on TV. I'll say the Panthers all the way.
All right. Well, I got to ask you, what's the spread?
I imagine I'll say 6.5.
It's 5.5.
Yeah, I figured. I mean,
so Carolina
they'll give
covers.
him respect they'll give him respect because it's division opponent.
Yeah, Carolina covers. We'll see if Rico Dottle can go. It sounds like he's been practicing a little more as we get towards the end of the week. I was going to say Burns. Derek Brown, is still a little banged up and questionable, so we'll see. Mr. Logical, taking it to the end here. The hapless Commanders, who I would still probably start Jaden Daniels in this state over Marcus Mariota. Any chance to beat the Lions? Any chance to beat the Lions?
Any chance? Debo playing?
Debo's playing.
Scary Terry not playing?
Scary Terry not playing.
Luke McCaffrey's not playing?
Luke McCaffrey's out for the season.
Austin Eckler's out for the season. Is Bobby Wagner playing? I thought I saw his name as a list of injuries too.
As far as I know, I'm not tracking anything on him off the top of my head.
But you lost 3 guys against Seattle, right?
Mm-hmm.
You lost Jaden Daniels, Luke McCaffrey, and somebody else was out, got injured that game. Yeah, I don't see a path for that to occur, unfortunately. I mean, some teams get hit by the injury bug, and then some people get, robbed by the injury bug.
Yeah.
Y'all are getting abused by the injury bug.
I know. You would think that we're 49ers East, right?
It's shaping up to be that way.
And
I said, it's unfortunate because it's like making it to the NFC Championship last year. Probably, probably accelerated expectations, and it probably caused the team not to look in certain spaces like, okay, all right, where can we get some depth? Instead, it was like, oh, now we got to get the big play, whomever. We got to get the veteran here to fill this in, simply because we can strike now with the young quarterback, which is ultimately like that's the goal. Young quarterback, rookie contract, rookie deal. Let's spread this money around. I think it just accelerated a little bit. And then now I think you can get back to the mean. Mariota's going to be a good guy. It'll be good. It'll be a good game. It just, if it's 3rd and 3, you got a shot.
Yeah.
But if you're in 3rd and 7 too often, that's going to be a bad day.
So to answer your question, Bobby Wagner is fully practicing.
Okay.
Laramie Tunsil's still not practicing. Newton is limited. McLaurin's out. Quan Martin is out. Eddie Goldman has a concussion. Bill, aka Jacory, the rookie, has some kind of tooth injury, but he's practicing. And the rookie Trey Amos, who's like the one good defensive back that we have right now, is injured, but he's limited at practice. But on the other hand, Mr. Logical, Kirby Joseph not practicing. Taylor Decker's not practicing. Penei Sewell is like just limited. Today was his first day of practice. So Detroit is not out of the waters when it comes to injuries either. The only problem is that
those guys are out for the year.
Well, even if Decker and Penei don't play, we got no pass rush anyway. And if it's one thing that I do like about Detroit, because we had this conversation last week about who do you trust. I didn't choose Detroit, but the one thing that I do trust is Detroit bounces back from losses well. So yes. I think they're going to come out. And
this is the perfect game. This is the perfect game to come back from. You got a backup quarterback, injury-riddled team.
Oh, and don't forget, this is the team that knocked you out the playoffs last year. So there's always that. And I think Dan Campbell is one of those petty dudes that will hold on to that. They use that for motivation. So upset alert, Mr. Logical. Upset alert. We got him. And, apparently I don't even know what happened. Apparently I didn't have my updated notes here, but let's take it, let me pull this up real quick. So here we go. So taking it from the top. UCF has a chance tomorrow night. They're a 1.5 point underdog against Houston. Though Houston's coming off that loss to West Virginia. That's not the reason why I'm saying this. Houston just got banged up in that game, and they're going to have a couple of guys out. Give me Mississippi State, a.k.a. Hail State, covering 9.5. How dare you think that the Georgia Bulldogs are going to walk into Stark Vegas and just push Hail State around? Who do you think you are? You saw Tennessee have to go to overtime there. You saw Texas have to go to overtime there. And Mississippi State's coming off their first SEC win in the last season. Come on now. Georgia, you in trouble. I ain't calling money line, but I'm just saying, relatively speaking. Give me the over 54.5 and James Madison and Marshall. This weekend is kind of slow. Give me Temple plus 6.5 at Mikey Stadium against the United States Military Academy. I would say give me Purdue plus 30.5, but this is called upset alert, not, hey, that spread is just too high. Give me Missouri State to cover 7.5 at Liberty. I got that one. So the game is that I'm interested in, one of the games that I'm interested in, Mr. Logical, no pick, but I'm just interested. Rutgers as a 2.5 point favorite against Maryland. I got my eyes on that one. I might like the over a little bit better at 56.5. Keeping it going, give me Florida International on the money line against Middle Tennessee State. the wrong team is definitely favored in that game. We'll get to that one. Give me UConn to cover 9.5 against Duke. Give me Kansas. I'm thinking money line, but for now, I'm going to go with 5.5 at Arizona. I like the over in Stanford, North Carolina, 43.5 there. So, Carolina's starting to get a little bit of offense. We'll see if they can keep it up. I want the money line, Mr. Logical. I want the money line because the Florida State Seminoles are coming to put the nail in the Clemson Tigers. Clemson tired of hearing Dabo talk. I'm tired of seeing Dabo's face. So Florida State's going to win this game. And I like the over as well, 56.5 there. Give me the under. Kentucky, 45.5 for Kentucky hosting Florida. And then finally, I had one more. I had to remember this off the top of my head since my notes didn't want to work for me. Give me the under 45.5 for Auburn at Vanderbilt. And this is the thing, I just got to say it because, when we started Sports Reports is Ordered, as we've gone through the process of this show, Diego Pavia is our guy. He is, he lost to Alabama earlier this year.
But you got the under?
Yeah, I got the under, but he's 2-0 against Auburn. So there you go. All right, so let's get right to it. Up in Iowa City, you remember earlier before we started, I said something along the lines of, you don't come into Ross-Ade Stadium. I got a simple message for the Oregon Ducks. You don't come into Gimmicks Stadium. Who do you think you are? Now, I know Dan Lanning's going to have the guys pumped up. The college football playoff rankings are out. They're a lot lower than they expected to be probably ever since they lost that game to Indiana, who's still undefeated, by the way. That losing that game made Oregon overrated. Dan Lanning heard all that. The problem is you're going into Kinnick Stadium and we might get some sleet. We might get some snow, 31 degrees. Now, I know conventional wisdom would say, what is Dante Moore going to do in a road game like this? But I think it's up to Oregon's run game. The problem is Iowa only allows 2.4 yards per carry on the season. Iowa played that same Indiana team better and closer than Oregon did. And where was that game? It was at Kinnick Stadium because you don't just walk in there. Since 2000, Mr. Logical, since 2000 when Kurt Ferentz got hired in 99. So since 2000, they have beaten 7 top 10 teams at Kinnick Stadium. Give me number 8.
Oh, Iowa over Oregon, huh?
Give me number 8. I'm taking it. The weather, I think, is going to be the biggest factor because if everything created equal, Oregon would probably win, 37-10 or something along those lines. But, Iowa's got this quarterback, Gronowski, that came in from South Dakota State. This isn't your,
this is this kind of weather.
Yeah, this isn't that drop back quarterback, Cade McNamara style that can't do anything. When the play breaks down and Oregon gets some pressure, Gronowski's going to make them pay. So give me Iowa.
I know we're talking college football. Chip Kelly needs to go back to college football. He's a terrible offensive play caller. Terrible. Just there's no flow to it. There's no it's just bubble screen, stretch play to Genty. Geno Smith out here getting beat up. It's like your quarterback is limping. Call some slants. Get it to the tight end over the middle. Do something different. But
not just a tight end, probably the best tight end in the league.
The best tight end. Yeah, Chip Kelly's awful. He can go back to Oregon. All right, so I like that. So your top 25, who you got on upset alert?
So I'm obviously picking this one as a straight up upset. All right, let me look back here. So I got Georgia on upset alert. I think they win, but I think it's going to get a little muddy for them down in Stark Vegas. Let's see what we got here. That's really it because there's not a lot this weekend. Maybe Missouri keeps
I
it
was thinking
close.
like Missouri, Texas A&M.
Maybe they
you don't
keep
think
it
there's
close.
a chance there?
I think there's a chance based on Missouri's defense, but this is the freshman starting his first game at quarterback since Bo Pribula's out. So, Bo Pribula brought the running element to the offense. So I'm just not sure how well Ahmad Hardy is going to be able to get loose without Pribula there. And then that's about it, man. Like I've heard people say Cal Louisville, but I don't see it. I'll say Wake Forest, potentially Virginia against Virginia, but that's only because Virginia's going through that phase where each game is just a little bit too close for comfort. Like you're a college football playoff team or, in the rankings right now.
You're in the rankings. That's the conversation you're having all week. You're seeing it.
You
can
need
try
to start
avoid
putting
it
your
if you
foot
want.
on people. And they haven't done that the last couple of games. So just based off of how they've played lately, I'll give Wake Forest a chance. But before I would ever put money on it, I would have to remember that Wake Forest just lost 42-7 to Florida State last week. So, and they got Robbie Ashford at quarterback, and I definitely don't trust him. But in the same vein, they were an offsides call away from beating Georgia Tech.
So, I guess what would have been a big matchup for early November, but some boosters came up with some money to get rid of the guy. Then they took half of that money back. So LSU sent Brian Kelly packing.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of LSU, I was watching the Raw Room with guy used to be a corner for the Falcons, and then Darren Bates. He's a coach right now. I've seen the clips, but they had Brad Wing, the former punter for LSU, and they were in school together. And he was telling these stories, talk about how he was like, "Did you get kicked out of LSU, or did you leave the school?" He's like, "Nah, but I got that Brian Kelly. They sent me packing." So they're like, "Why?" He's like, "I couldn't stop smoking weed with these dudes because they were in the same. They were there at the same time." But like LSU, just they have like a great football history. I think something about Louisiana. It's like they're like folklore heroes. Like people love Boosie Badass. I rock with it a little bit, but they're like, yo, Louisiana down south, people love Boosie. And people love the Honey Badger, people love Odell Beckham Jr., people love the Mannings. Like it's just something about the charisma that comes with being a star out of Louisiana. And I think that
you
kind
gonna
of
say
brings
all
them
that
a
and don't even bring up the No Limit Cash Money versus
No Limit Cash Money versus Lil Wayne, Juvie. That's my first real down south like music that I really listen to because I'm from Virginia, but I'm a more New York, Philly, Jersey, East Coast hip hop head. That's what I resonate. But like, so something about Louisiana, I think that hypes up the LSU Bama game. But like you said, you gave me a stat before we started, like the last 14 meetings.
So every year we hear about Bama LSU. It's this big, great game. It's always going to be down to the wire. It's going to be this. It's going to be that. Alabama's 12-2 in their last 14 games against LSU. No Brian Kelly. They're trying to figure out a coach. They got Frank Wilson taking over. So now LSU is going to take back their role as Alabama's bottom. That's basically what's going to happen in this game. So I think LSU is going to keep it close for a half. Their defense, is good enough. I just wonder if they can make enough plays on offense to keep up with Alabama. So I don't think Alabama is necessarily going to score 30, but so far, Missouri is, or I think it was Missouri, 24 points is the high mark that Alabama's given up in SEC play so far. The good news is for Kalen DeBoer, if this does end up being a close game, close games is what he does. And it's a part of why the Bama fans have certain issues with him because, Nick Saban was out there, putting 41-7 on people. The Boar is out here on some 27-24. You know what I mean? So I don't know if LSU can get to 24. So, you know what I mean? So I'm going to take Bama in this game. I'm going to call it 27-17. So Bama slightly covers. I saw it at 9.5. So I'm going to roll with that.
I like that score, but I think the rankings coming out, Bama being 4, they probably feel disrespected, even though they should be 4. Like the tone is probably like, we're better than the 3 teams ahead of us.
I don't know. The crazy part about that is that I don't necessarily disagree with you on the surface, considering that the teams ahead of them are undefeated. But if we're going to talk about this whole, the resume and all that kind of stuff, nobody has that. I mean, now Alabama has the Florida State loss. That's a part of their resume. But also they have wins over Vandy. They have wins over Missouri. They have a win at Georgia. So, I mean, what's Ohio State's best win?
They just run it back. They just run it back differently. Like that program just runs it back differently. And I know everyone has money. Like all these programs down south have money. It just seems like Bama just has something. They have another gear. They have a secret room. They have like a secret ingredient that these other schools don't have. I think that's on full display this weekend against LSU. I'm not sure how guys react when the coach leaves. He was kind of viewed a bit of as a tyrant. It's a lot of. There's a few clips of him just kind of berating guys on the sideline. I imagine practice was,
hell.
That was like a microcosm of practice. Like I imagine like going over a play over and over again and not getting it right in practice. He probably reacted probably more visceral in practice than he did there. So it might open up a lot of guys and they might just play a little freer. It might open up the play calling where, because he might choose coaches out like that too. Some people, when they have that kind of just like that very big demonstrative ego, I run the show thing, that doesn't stop with just the players. Like that matriculates to the coaching room too.
Well, there was the one play against A&M, his last game that he coached there, when they gave up the punt return for the touchdown, and he walked over to the special teams coach, got all up in his face and said, basically, that just cost you your effing job. And, and there was another one where I don't know if
the other team practices that too. Like they practice blocking, they practice running the ball back. Like it happens. If you had a block punt, a missed field goal, a fake, a punt fake that didn't go through, and the punt return, the kickoff. Like if you had a bunch of stuff happen, howl at the coach. But it's like this team made a play. We got to go out there and make one too. Poor Gino.
Yeah, I don't know if this was
man.
This season.
This is awful. This is.
I don't know if this was this season or if it was last season. But there's also a video of him yelling at a player in his face, saying who the F do you think you are? You're uncoachable and all this kind of stuff. So I don't know, man. He think he Bill Parcells, I guess. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, so college game day
in Happy Valley.
College game day for the second straight week, Mr. Logical, is in a Big 12 stadium. It's at a game featuring a team from the Beehive State. So you got BYU coming into Lubbock, Texas as a 10.5-point underdog. What say you, Mr. Logical?
I mean, it's a tough game. It's a tough game to pick 9, 9 versus 8, appropriately ranked. Texas Tech made a big splash in the NIL. They were deliberate in their NIL activity. BYU, their pockets are deep. So, they paid a few guys, but those guys got to follow some strict rules. So they still managed to get the talent there. Quarterbacks wearing 47. I can't go with it. And they beat Utah, so I can't root for them either way. So I got Texas Tech I got the home team winning.
That is hilarious.
It's going. I mean, it's going to be a good game. I mean, Texas Tech put it on. They put it on Utah as well. So, yeah, I'm gonna go Texas Tech over BYU, knocking out the 2 Utah Big 12 teams, and moving up the college football playoff ladder.
So, all my friends down in Lubbock, get your tortillas ready. So BYU's coming into this game beat up, which is a bad thing for a physical team. LJ Martin, banged up. He should be ready to go, though. Jack Kelly on the defensive side, one of their best defensive players, injured. We'll see if he'll be able to go, but Texas Tech is the college football version of what I come in here and say about the Rams every week. You got to deal with verse. You got to deal with, like that. That's Texas Tech. They're going to be all up in Bear Bachmeier's face. I think that BYU is going to have to rely, like we were talking about the Steelers earlier, they're going to have to force turnovers to get extra possessions because I think points are going to be hard to come by.
BYU's a 10-point favorite in this, though.
No, they're underdog. They're a 10.5-point underdog.
Underdog, yeah.
Yeah. So they're going to have to force the turnovers. Texas Tech has not lost a game this season with their quarterback. The one game that they lost, the backup started. So I think Texas Tech is a team that people don't talk about because they're not from those two conferences. What I mean?
I think the thing with Texas Tech is that I think they look good. They have the right uniform colors. It's like the red, black, and white is probably the most popular uniform.
I know. They're so color. Awesome that the Falcons copied their uniform.
The Falcons copied it, and it worked. You see the house that Vic built, and they got all new jerseys after that. But I mean, it's been studied. I didn't just make this up because my favorite team wears these colors. It's scientific. That's why like new teams always have like a black jersey variations when they come out. Carolina, Jacksonville, so they can make the profit off the color. I think Texas Tech, the problem that we have with them recently is that they're always a good team because they're in a good part of America to get good football players. They just go like they'll be like 6-1. They'll be like 5-2, and then their season will end at 8-4, and they're not in the big bowl game. So the other Texas teams kind of just steal the limelight. But if they can keep it going in this Big 12, stay in the college football playoffs, and if you have a quarterback that you can win with, like you said, they only lost that one game with the backup, and a defense that can harass the opposing quarterback, that's the winning formula.
Yeah.
So I think they have a good shot. Yeah, I think they cover the spread.
But the difference between Texas Tech now and going forward versus the stuff that you're talking about is Cody Campbell. That he pumping that money into there, that oil money. And, because everybody thought that when Texas and OU left, Oklahoma State was going to be the beneficiary. And Oklahoma State hasn't won a Big 12 game in the last 2 seasons. So Texas Tech has seized the moment. So I think they're going to beat BYU. I think that by beating by BYU, they, for all intents and purposes, will probably end up clinching a spot in the Big 12 championship game. It's not official, but I just think that,
the rest of their games are winnable.
Yeah, and even if they lose one, they would have that tiebreaker over BYU.
And over Utah.
Yeah, so so Texas Tech can set themselves up in a very good spot here, and and who knows? BYU's undefeated right now. Who knows? Maybe the Big 12 gets 2 teams again. We'll see. But on that note, he is the one and only, world famous, world renowned, cool, calm, and collected. Born in Texas, raised in VA, representing everything New Jerusalem. And you even heard it here. He picked the Jets to win.
Jets, Jets.
Don't bring feelings to a back fight. He is. Mr. Logical. And then, of course, down here in the Alamo, I am your unorthodox statistician, going left so much that you thought I was southpaw. What is that? Whoop, whoop, whoop. Oh, it ain't Earl Spence. Where he at?
Yo, it ain't Jake Paul and Javante Davis. Shout out to boxing once again, falling flat on your face again.
Yeah, he couldn't get Ngannou either.
You don't want to see that. Go get Romello.
Ngannou would have laid him out, but But anyway, we will be back on Tuesday, of course, with reactions. Getting back into the swing of things, new college football playoff rankings, and all the good things. Like, review, subscribe, share, review, do all the free things. And speaking of the good things, do those good things. Liquid Death in hand. And if you don't remember nothing else, just remember that it's free. Sports Reports is ordered. We love you.
Billionaires.
We out.
2-5, Mr. Logical, we run this town. Real talk only, no chasing, no doubt. From the east to the west, it's the order we shout. Mic check, lights flash, game time, stay ready.